Hi, this is Pastor McLean. This week we wrapped up our sermon series, Don't Waste Your Life, by talking about how does the story end? What do you want your story to be like? How do you want people to remember you? I began to think about whether I like happy endings or mysterious endings or cliffhangers or tragic endings. And I kind of found I like a good ending to a story. It doesn't matter which one. But I remember a long time ago when the Star Wars movies were new, sitting in a movie theater by myself watching The Empire Strikes Back. And at the end, Darth Vader says, "Luke, I am your father." And then it ends. I remember out loud thinking, no, it can't end like that. Well, I've had the good fortune as a pastor to speak and be a part of many funerals over my 30 plus years of ministry and listen to people tell the stories at the end of people's lives and sit at the bedside of people as they're recounting and remembering their life and praying that there was an impact. I love listening to those stories, but I wonder, when you think of your life, how do you want it to end? Beginning with the end in mind, what about my legacy to be, what people remember? And Pastor Dan talked about, I want people to know that I was a sinner, but I was forgiven. In our text today in 1 Timothy, it's 1 Timothy chapter 1, verses 12 to 17. That's your assigned reading today. Paul is recounting his life and sharing, boy, I was once trying to get rid of the story of Jesus, but because of God's grace, I am who I am. And I want to tell you this of first importance, that Jesus died to save sinners. I'm hoping that when you think about the end of your year and the end of your life, you remember Jesus on Mount Transfiguration. He began with the end in mind. He was on this mountain with God, his Father, and Moses and Elijah, and it says they're talking about his exodus, talking about his departure, talking about his going, in the end of the story, back to heaven on the Mount of Ascension. But he knew, he says he comes down from this Mount of Transfiguration, showing the disciples who he really is, and he sets his sights for Jerusalem. And he tells them then, I'm going to go to Jerusalem, suffer, die, and the third day rise. He knew exactly what the plan was, and he knew how the story was going to end. He was going to die for the sins of the people and take the wrath of God, but he would be raised to life and defeat sin and death. He knew. And really, so do you and I. We know how the story ends. So there's hope and confidence and peace about our life. And we literally grab hold of this future reality, this future hope, promise of heaven. And I live today with that confidence and that assurance. Who in your life needs that hope and assurance? Who in your life needs to understand that there is a God of love who allows you to have a guaranteed storybook ending? You know, the stories all end with, and they lived happily ever after. And the reality is, because of Jesus, we're going to live happily ever after. We know how our story ends. The key is, what am I going to accomplish between now and then? Who's going to understand the love of God through me? Who do I want to make sure is with me in heaven when that day comes? We want to begin with the end in mind, and today ask you, how do you want your story to end? How do you want people to remember you? Go back and read 1 Timothy chapter 1, verses 12 to 17, and see where Paul is leading you this week.